My dear students, today we are going to discuss about the reproduction in Agaricus. So we can mention here reproduction in Agaricus. So when we talk about the reproduction in Agaricus, two types of reproduction exist in this type of fungus, which is known as Agaricus, belong to the division Basidiomycota. So which are two types of reproduction which exist in this type of fungus? The first type of reproduction is known as asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction. And the second type of reproduction is known as sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction. So in the beginning of this lecture, we will try to discuss about the asexual reproduction because it is a very simple and rare. So now if we discuss about the asexual reproduction in the Agaricus, then we can say that it is commonly not found. So we can say that it is not commonly found in the different species of the Agaricus, but it is very rare type of reproduction in the Agaricus genus. If it take place in the few species, then it can take place only with the help of chlamydospore formation. Chlamydospore formation. It means chlamydospores are formed and these chlamydospores are involved in the asexual reproduction. But it is not commonly found. Not a common reproduction in Agaricus. If this type of reproduction take place, then it can take place with the help of chlamydospore formation. So after the asexual reproduction, now we are going to discuss about the second type of reproduction, which is known as sexual reproduction. So sexual reproduction, before discussing the sexual reproduction, we have to make a diagram, and then we will discuss that how the Agaricus is involved in the sexual reproduction actually. In the last lecture, we have discussed the diagram. This is actually the diagram of Agaricus, and this is a structure which is known as annulus, and lower to this annulus there is a structure which is known as stipe. These are the vegetative mycelium. This one is soil surface. This is a stipe. This one is annulus. And these are the structures which are known as gills. These structures are known as gills, and this is a structure which is present at the top portion of this Agaricus, and this structure is known as pileus. So actually this is the morphology of Agaricus campestris, and now we have to learn that all the parts, these are the actually mycelium, which is known as vegetative mycelium. This is the portion which is known as stipe, and at the apical portion of this stipe, this is the portion which is known as annulus, and the upper portion is known as pileus, and these structures are known as gills, and these gills are involved in the sexual reproduction actually. So when we talk about the sexual reproduction and how we will relate the sexual reproduction with these structures which are known as gills. So firstly we have to learn about these gills. Actually the gills are two types of gills. Two types of gills. The number one type of gills which are present here are the primary gills. And the second type of gills are known as secondary gills. Second type of gills are known as secondary gills. So secondary gills are shorter in size, but the primary gills are longer in size, and these primary gills are involved in the sexual reproduction. So how these primary gills are involved in the sexual reproduction? For example, this one is the one gill which belong to this fungus, and this is a primary gill. It means it is a longer gill. And sexual structure are produced in this gill at the middle portion of this gill. So this one is a single gill, and these are sexual structures. It means these sexual structures are involved in the sexual reproduction. So how, which type of structures are involved in the sexual reproduction which are present in the each long or a primary gill? Now this gill, the middle portion of this gill which is involved in the sexual structure, so which type of structures are present in this portion of the gill, which is the middle portion of gill actually. So now I am going to write here the structures of the gills which are present in the middle portion and how these structures are involved in the sexual reproduction. So first type of structure which is present in the middle of this gill is known as trauma. The second structure which is involved in the sexual reproduction which is present at the middle portion of this gill is known as subhymeneum. The third structure which is involved in the sexual reproduction is hymeneum. After the hymeneum, the fourth structure is present which is known as basidia, and the fifth structure is known as basidiospores. So how these basidiospores are produced which are involved in the sexual reproduction in Agaricus? So actually we are going to discuss this portion which is involved in the sexual reproduction. If I can increase in size to understand better, I am going to make another diagram. So how? The first portion you have to keep in mind is that which is known as trauma. So I am making the diagram of trauma actually. Trauma actually is composed of compact hyphae. It means it is composed of hyphae, but all these hyphae are compactly arranged at the center of the gill, each gill. This compactly arranged hyphae which are present at the middle of each gill, this portion is known as trauma. Actually, I can mention here, this is a trauma. So after this trauma, the trauma cells are also present here. These are also the traumal cells. So after this, there is a subhymeneum. So some cells are arranged on the peripheral region of this trauma. It means this one is a peripheral region of trauma, and this one is also a peripheral region of trauma. So some cells are present here. These are the cells, and these cells are making a chain of cells on the peripheral region or a peripheral side of trauma, and we can also say that on the each side of trauma. So this one is a trauma, and this one is a layer. This one is also a chain of cells, and this chain of cells which is present on the both sides, this chain of cells is known as subhymeneum. This chain of cells is known as subhymeneum. This is actually the subhymeneum. It means this layer is also known as subhymeneum, and this layer is also known as subhymeneum. So I can mention here These both layers are known as subhymeneum. Subhymeneum actually. So these subhymeneal cells will divide, and when they will divide, they make a long cells. So how these are involved in the formation of long cells? For example, now these cells are dividing and making a long cells. These are actually long cells. And these long cells are present on both sides. So these are the long cells. These are also known as long cells. And these long cells are known as basidia. And the basidial layer inside this structure is known as hymenium. Each structure is known as hymenium. So I can, this is a hymenium. All this structure, actually the one unit, this one is known as basidia, this one is known as basidia. Each cell is known as basidia actually, but the whole layer of basidia is known as hymenium. Each layer of basidia is known as hymenium. It means the layer which is present inner to this hymenium layer is known as subhymenium, and after to this subhymenium there is another layer which is known as hymenium actually. So I can label here, this one is hymenium. Hymenium. This is hymenium, this one is subhymenium, and this is known as stroma. So what will happen after to this, when this after the subhymenium layer, the hymenium is produced. Actually, each hymenium have 2 to 4 extensions like this. This is an extension, 2 to 4. But for assistant, we are going to discuss only 3 or 2. 2 extensions are produced, and each extension actually is producing from this layer, and each layer is known as hymenium, and each unit of hymenium is known as basidia. Each unit is known as basidia actually. So on this side also there are 2 to 4 extensions. Keep in mind, each of this extension is known as sterigmata. Each of extension is known as sterigmata. Sterigmata. So one thing which is very important to keep in mind is that actually this whole structure is involved in the sexual reproduction, and this whole structure is present in the middle of each gill, because the body of Agaricus consists of many more gills, and these gills are involved in the sexual reproduction. And the sexual parts are, we are discussing here, the first is known as stroma, which is present at the center. Second is known as subhymenium, which is present on the peripheral region, and the next is hymenium, which is present in these structure. These are elongated cells, and these elongated cells are actually known as basidia. So now these are the structures which are known as sterigmata. So sterigmata are involved in the production of basidiospores. So now here basidiospores are present at each sterigmata. Basidiospores are present at each sterigmata. So for assistant, I am making only 2 basidia on each. These are basidia actually. These are basidia. these are basidia. It means now we are discussing the these are actually the basidial spore or basidiospore. These are basidia and these are known as basidiospore. Actually now I am making here are basidiospores. These are basidiospores. So now question is that how these basidiospores are produced, and these basidiospore may be 2 or 4. So now we are going to discuss the formation of basidiospore. For example, these are the cells, and the layer of this cell is known as hymenium, and each hymenium cell is actually giving rise the basidia, because these structures are known as basidia. And these cells are multinucleated. How? For example, this one is a cell which is giving rise the basidia. Actually now we are talking about this cell, and this cell is multinucleated. So when they are giving rise the basidia, all the nuclei will disintegrate and only 2 nuclei will remain. Now these 2 nuclei fuse each other and make a diploid zygote. So now make a diploid zygote. So when these when this zygote is formed, diploid zygote is formed, then this diploid zygote, this one is a diploid zygote. This diploid zygote undergo the meiosis. When this diploid zygote undergoes the meiosis, then it produces 4 haploid cells. It produces 4 haploid cells. So now each of these 4 haploid cells from the basidia will move to the sterigmata and produce the basidiospore. So each of these cells again divide mitotically and will start producing other basidiospores. So actually these are basidiospores which are producing as a result of mitosis. These are haploid, but these are producing with the help of process of mitosis. Here one thing is very important to keep in mind is that the process of mitosis can occur in the diploid as well as haploid cells also. There is a basic concept that, for example, this one is a diploid cell. This diploid cell may undergo the meiosis as well as mitosis, and compared to this another cell is present, and this is haploid cell. In this haploid cell again further it only go to mitosis process. Haploid cell will never undergo to the next process of meiosis, because that also already have a haploid and less number of chromosome. So that's why it can undergo the mitosis, but it never will go to the meiosis. So these basidiospores are produced. So next, after the formation of these basidiospore, there is a process which is known as germination of these basidiospore. So now we are going to discuss how these basidiospores are germinate actually. For example, this one is a basidiospore and this is a haploid basidiospore. It will germinate and produce many hyphae. For example, this one is a basidiospore, these are hyphae, and these hyphae are uninucleated. These uninucleated hyphae will fuse each other. When they will fuse each other, they will become binucleated. They will become binucleated. Then they produce again long hyphae, and these long hyphae make a rope-like structure. This is actually a rope-like structure, and this rope-like structure is known as rhizomorph. Rhizomorph. This rhizomorph actually maintain ring-like structure on each side, and these ring-like structure actually which are making around the each side. So due to these structure, this whole portion is known as fairy ring. This whole structure is known as fairy ring.